let's get some reaction now from two of our biggest cities at least. The economy roaring back to life, but its deficits as far as the eye can see after Josh Frydenberg handed down his second big spending pandemic budget. So it's a much better financial picture than even a few months ago. But what do Australians think? So our reporters are monitoring all the reaction this morning. Let's go to Kenny Heatley in Sydney. Kenny, you've been out and about in Circular Quay, getting people's thoughts. How's it going?
Well, Pete, generally when asking people about the budget early in the morning before their first coffee is generally hilarious. But basically one of the questions that I asked was the national debt ballooning out to $980 billion by 2024-2025, almost $1 trillion, and what they thought about that.
Yes, it's scary, but I think it was necessary. We had to do it to support the country because of COVID, and look how well we're doing. So,
yeah, it's probably my kids. Probably have to be paying that back slowly. So,
it doesn't worry me at all. I don't know how it affects my day-to-day life. It doesn't.
The other reaction that I got was about the tax cuts. Now, we know about the tax cuts that are coming to the business sector and the incentives there, but also there's individual tax cuts for low and middle income earners earning between $45,000 and $90,000. You're getting an extra $1,080. The thoughts on those tax cuts?
Oh, it'll help them people, I'm sure. And if tax cuts always helping the small people because they spend it.
Tax cuts? Always. I mean, of course, definitely. But, I mean, not for me personally, no.
I think it does make a difference. It's a good measure, sure, but it's a small amount in the grand scheme of things for a lot of people. So it might, help for 1 month, but it's not necessarily going to be a massive help.
And the other big ones, $3.4 billion going towards women initiatives, women's safety, economic security, health and well-being, including emergency payments for women escaping violent relationships. Now, this is likely to be the last budget before the next election. Will it bring back the women vote?
There are many women who need help. There's also some men who need help too. They are forgotten.
Well, obviously, yes, I want it to go to women and women in need, definitely, without a doubt. But whether or not that will sway women's vote and also like the people who obviously are more supportive of women, I don't know.
I don't think their problem is money. It's their attitude. It's no good.
But Pete, generally the thought on the street here this morning is this is not the time to rein in spending. Back to you.
How often did you speak to people this morning and ask them about the federal budget and they just shot you with a 1,000-yard stare going, what?
Many times. It was no.
I bet. Kenny, appreciate that. Thank you. Let's go to Melbourne now. Pat Murrell joins us live. Pat, what's been the response in Melbourne?
Well, similar to what Kenny was saying at this hour, a lot of people have breakfast on the mind rather than the budget. What people have been particularly interested in is some of the underlying assumptions in the papers around coronavirus. They want to know when things are going to start returning more and more to normal. And one of the assumptions in the budget is around international travel and arrivals. There's no policy in there, but there is an assumption that by mid next year, we'll start to see more permanent and temporary migrants return to Australia. And it won't be until late next year that we'll start to see the international tourism sector open up. Here's what people had to say about that.
I'm a bit concerned about that, actually, yeah.
Yeah, why are you concerned?
Because for a start, I think there are a lot of people overseas genuinely need to come back home. I think our country not being able to have people go and conduct business and just be connected with the rest of the world is a concern to me.
Look, I don't mind. I'm comfortable with that.
Well, look, we just have to get, firstly, students back, all right, because this economy's booming, okay, and we just don't have the people to fill the jobs. So something has got to be done.
The other major assumption concerning coronavirus in the budget papers is around the vaccine. There's an assumption there that by the end of this year, everyone will be able to get a vaccine jab if they want one. There are, however, no targets, and I asked people if perhaps there should have been some in the papers.
Yes, I think we financially we can absolutely get this vaccine on the roll, make people feel very comfortable and a lot more safer.
I think it's important that should be done as soon as possible.
I'd rather be in Australia than anywhere else. I'm not going to criticise not having targets for vaccinations, etc.
So some pretty mixed reactions to those assumptions in the budget papers this morning, Pete.
OK, Pat, thank you.